I woke up this morning to see the news that the United States is now in a trade war with Canada and other countries, but Canada, that's sort of like the mind-blowing bit of all of this. And of course, there are all sorts of news outlets all over the place talking about the impacts of this and what's going to happen and all the rest of it. But what I am not seeing highlighted enough in that coverage is the impact that this is going to have on food prices at the grocery store for ordinary people. So I've slapped this impromptu video, off schedule video together to talk about this because it is so important, because there are going to be massive impacts to the prices of food that ordinary people are paying at the grocery store. This is not a political channel, and I have no intention of this becoming a political channel, but I need to talk about the impacts that the political stuff is going to have on ordinary people's lives. So the US has initiated a trade war, a tariff back and forth with Canada, one of the countries that borders the United States that produces food, fuel, oil, fertilizer, like just the things that you need for growing food, and actually just food itself gets exported to the United States for people to eat. And when you add that in with the tariffs that have also gone on Mexico, another country bordering the United States that provides a huge amount of fresh produce to the United States, especially when it's the off season for that food, because Mexico has quite a nice growing climate in a lot of places. Those two things coming together is going to have a massive, massive impact on food price inflation. Something that I know Americans are already struggling with. You know, the world is struggling with food price inflation right now. We do not need more fuel thrown on that fire, and that is what is going to happen. Food prices at the grocery store, the cost to produce food at the farm level is going to rise from so many different facets of this. It is going to get pretty ugly. I'm going to talk just briefly about my context here in New Zealand, because New Zealand is sort of like the canary in the coal mine for economics and social issues. We are a small country, so we are buffeted by what happens in the wider world. It hits us pretty hard. And New Zealand's not doing great right now. I mean, maybe we're pretending that we are, but it is not great here, and it hasn't been for a while. We are in a recession. It's the worst since it's been since the 90s. Things are tough. Our food prices are extremely high. And even though we are a nation that, like, our claim to fame is producing food, and we produce a huge amount of it, we have sky high food prices. We do not have good domestic food security. We have poverty. We have people who cannot afford, can't even dream of affording the beautiful, lovely, nutritious food that we produce here. It's just out of reach for so many people here, and that situation is just getting worse and worse and worse. So I am saying to you, you do not want to become like us. You don't. It is rough. People here are just trying to get by, and that includes just trying to afford any food at the supermarket. It's incredibly unfair, but it could happen to any country. So moving back to the situation at hand right now with these tariff wars going back and forth and the impact that's going to have on food prices, we'll just look at Mexico. So Mexico has been tariffed across the board, 25% on all goods coming from Mexico to the United States. Well, Mexico produces quite a significant amount of the fresh fruit and vegetables consumed in the United States. And of course, the United States produces their own fruits and vegetables, and that is great. But it is supplemented by produce coming from Mexico. And when things are out of season and can't be grown in the United States, they can often be grown in Mexico. So you can get your tomatoes all year round. We're not going to go into the whole issue about seasonal eating right now, but it is absolutely true that things are going to get more expensive, because even if the United States is producing it, there's going to be a supply and demand issue, because overnight food chains have been disrupted. And when we look at the Canadian context, a major thing that Canada sends to the United States is heavy fuel for, oil for refining. And that is the oil, the heavy oil that is used to make diesel. So not all oil can be used to make diesel, and diesel is absolutely essential for all modern agriculture. If you don't have diesel, you don't have agriculture. Tractors don't run on petrol, they run on diesel. So that is a major thing. Canada produces fertilizers, another major thing that agriculture needs to function. And again, yeah, there are ways you can do it without that, but like we're not talking pie in the sky stuff here. We have a system, it feeds people. We need to keep that system going. So prices are going to rise, and sometimes they're going to rise in a double whammy. If you've got tariffs going on multiple things, all of those things being needed to produce something, the cost is going to go up more than just the 25% because there's so many different things that need to go into making that thing. And it's going to get quite dicey. Prime Minister Trudeau singled out fertilizer as something that they produce and sell to the United States when he was addressing the media about this whole situation. And fertilizer is something that has been a problem for several years now because of the current geopolitical instability in the world. It has been massively inflated. It is really, really expensive at the moment. So making it more expensive isn't a great idea because it's already forming a really significant reason why food prices are inflating in the first place. The thing about food is that it's not just about being able to get food. It's about being able to get nutritious food. Most people can get enough calories, and most people can afford enough calories. But food is not just calories, it's not just energy. It is all of the things that your body needs to be healthy, to grow, to make your children healthy. And these tariffs are going to impact healthy food. The prices are going to rise on fresh fruits and vegetables, on domestically produced fruits and vegetables, on the things that you need to be healthy, the things that are good for you. And just like with the egg situation at the moment, which is unrelated to this tariff situation, but eggs have gone through the roof on prices. There doesn't seem to be any end in sight to that. And eggs are a nutritious food. They provide protein and vitamins and minerals that people need in their diet. So that is a nutritious food that used to be available to the masses that now is not. And the same situation will happen when you want to buy an apple or an avocado or coffee to start your day. If the healthy choices, the choices that make you strong, that feed your family well, that help you to succeed in having a healthy, active, wonderful life are taken away, you can't afford it anymore, you're going to still have to eat food. But those choices are being constrained. Your choices are being taken away from you. If you can't afford to eat healthy food, you're going to have to eat the processed rubbish food that will keep you not hungry, but is really doing nothing for your health, nothing for your family's health. And that is the situation that we are in here in New Zealand, where so many families can only afford to buy white bread and 2-minute noodles and like just nutritionally devoid foods to feed their families because just fruits and vegetables that we produce right here are not available at a price point that ordinary people can afford. And ordinary people are getting poorer and poorer. And I do not see that being different in other places in the world. So we need to stand up and be counted here. We've got to do something about it in the way that we can do something about it. We need to come together in our families and our communities to look after ourselves. I think the political class has made it very clear that they are not going to look after us in any way. They do not have our best interests at heart. So it is time for us to look after ourselves. If you have the time and if you have the space to grow your own food, to get a flock of chickens, maybe a pig, I don't know how much space you have, but if you've got the time, If you have the space, if you have the money to get started, please get started. Provide for yourselves, provide for your neighbors, share the surpluses, sell what you have surplus at a low cost. Just meet your costs, do what you can, but keep it lower than the supermarket. Provide good, healthy food for your family, for your community. We absolutely have to do this because who else is going to do it for us? Who else? There is nobody. We need to come together. We need to find compassion. We need to find our community spirit because we all must succeed or we all will fail. You can't have a group of people doing well, being able to get good food, and a group of people who cannot. It doesn't work. It doesn't work here in New Zealand, which is what we have happening, and it's not going to work anywhere. If we don't succeed together, we fail together. And that, I cannot stress that enough. We need to look after our families, our communities. With that in mind, the next video I have coming up on the schedule is a video about starting seeds. And if you're on the fence about doing this stuff, now is the time to get started. This is no longer a hobby. This is no longer a nice to have thing. This is essential. This is survival. This is what is going to keep us alive because it is not enough just to have enough calories. It is not enough to be able to buy bread. We must have good, nutritious food. And if we can't get it, we must provide it for ourselves. This is something that is hard to get your head around because this is not a situation that any of us alive today have really had to face. You know, you go to the grocery store, you buy food, it is there, you can afford it. Maybe not all of it, but at least the basics, you can get it. And that is rapidly falling through our fingers. It is going away. We are entering into a new territory where we have to step up and be counted and start doing things for ourselves. No politicians, no governments, no corporations are coming to save us. They've had plenty of time to do it. They have not done it. We must save ourselves. Nobody is coming to save us. You, your family, your friends, your neighbors, your community, the people down the street, the people you see when you walk around or drive, these are the people who are going to save us. You and your community, we must save ourselves.